Thank you so much for joining us. Going to give everyone a few more minutes as we have attendees still coming in, but so excited that you all have joined us for this voter education webinar. My name is Aaron Green, Associate Counsel at the Institute. We'll probably start around 12:05. I'll give a few more minutes as people begin to trickle in. Thank you again for joining us. Going to give us, we have 2 more minutes before we start. We'll start at 12:05. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for the voter education webinar. Again, my name is Aaron Green. I'm an associate counsel here at the Institute and look forward to going through important information about the upcoming general election. Good afternoon. We're going to get started. My name is Aaron Green. I'm an associate counsel at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. We're so excited that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us for the 2021 general election voter education webinar, where I'll be providing very important information about the upcoming election and many other elements to the election, including our virtual candidate toolkit form, and also talking about souls to the polls, early voting, and many other great initiatives that we have here in New Jersey. I'm so thankful to my colleague Lloyd Nelson, who's assisting with this webinar today. I have a PowerPoint presentation that will begin right now. Thank you. So for the purpose of this webinar, as stated, I'll be sharing important information about 2021 general election. This includes the new early voting system, which we're very excited about, souls to the polls, the format of this year's election, the voter registration deadline, also how to host a virtual candidate forum for your community, the vote by mail, ballot curing, election protection, and many other initiatives for the election. I can't state this enough. This is a very important election as we have every seat in the state legislature up for election, the governor, local offices. So this is such an important election, not only for the offices that are up, but also the very important issues that the Institute, and I'm sure you and your community, fight for every day. So this is National Voter Registration Day. Today, this is an exciting moment. This National Voter Registration Day started in 2012, and it's shown that on this holiday, there have been over 4 million people that have been registered. So today, I just want to encourage you, if you're not registered, to register, but also if you have family, friends that may not be registered, people in your community, please tell them, send a message, send a text, post on Facebook, Twitter, encourage people to register to vote. We have a voter registration deadline that's upcoming. We have 14 days. October 12th is our current deadline to register to vote. So you have 14 days to continue to spread the message, to get people registered. And also at the Institute today, we have my colleague Ron Pierce and the Race Council. They're doing initiatives to register people in the state today. And so the question is, how do you register to vote? So you can register to vote online through our advocacy with our partners. We were able to get that in New Jersey, online voter registration. And so very convenient. The link is here. We can put that in the chat as well. And also you can fill out a voter registration form. You can mail, you can deliver it to your county commissioner of registration or the superintendent of the elections. What's also important is for you to do, if you can verify your voter registration and to make sure that you have active status, to make sure that you are currently registered. And that link is also here below. You can check your voter registration status to make sure you're registered. So important dates. The first date, obviously, right, Election Day, November 2nd, which we're really excited about. We are, less than 2 months away from that. So we're very excited about that, but also the early voting period. For the first time, we will have early in-person voting for the first time here in New Jersey. Starts October 23rd and ends October 31st. I'll be sharing more information about that later during the presentation. As I've stated before, we have 14 days. October 12th is our voter registration deadline. Also, some other important deadlines. The deadline to apply by mail for a vote by mail ballot is October 26th. The deadline to apply in person for a vote by mail ballot is November 1st at 3 p.m. And the deadline to mail your vote by mail ballot is November 2nd. Make sure it's postmarked by November 2nd. It has to be received by November 8th. And the deadline to deliver your vote by mail ballot to a drop box or to a county office is Election Day, November 2nd. Make sure you do that by 8 p.m. And also, the last deadline that we have is the Ballot Cure deadline. There are 5 ways to vote during the general election. The first way is the vote in person at your designated polling place on Election Day, November 2nd. The second way to vote is to vote in person at a designated early voting location in your county from October 23rd through the 31st. The third way is that you can mail your vote by mail ballot through the U.S. Postal Service. Make sure it's postmarked by November 2nd. As I stated before, has to be received by November 8th. But as long as it's postmarked by November 2nd, you are in good shape. The fourth way to vote is to hand deliver your vote by mail ballot to a secure drop box by 8 p.m. on Election Day. And the fifth way and the last way to vote is to hand deliver your vote by mail ballot to a county board of elections by 8 p.m. on November 2nd. Early voting. So we're so excited for this historic moment in New Jersey. we join our partners to push through this historic legislation that now will bring early in-person voting for the first time here in New Jersey. And it will be put into place for this election. So we're so excited about this. As I've stated before, the early voting period this year will be from Tuesday, October 23rd to Sunday, October 31st. The hours will be from Monday through Saturday, the hours will be 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And on Sunday, the hours will be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Depending on the size of your county, there will be a minimum of 3, 5, or 7 early voting locations. The list of early voting sites are available at this link below that we will share in the chat for everyone to see. There are early voting locations that are in your county. The Secretary of State's office has already uploaded a number of counties to provide the early voting locations for your county. So you make a plan, decide if you're going to vote early, and determine which location you're going to utilize during the October 23rd through the 31st early voting period, and also to make sure to determine that the hours that you have. So Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And also with early voting, we have Souls to the Polls. So we are so excited about this. This is a tradition that started in Black churches and faith organizations across the country to encourage their congregations to cast ballots after church services. And so we're so excited that this will be utilized through the early voting period, particularly the weekends of early voting. We're encouraging faith organizations, house of worships, churches to be involved. This is an inclusive effort. And so we're so excited to be working with our partners to organize this across the state. And so if you're a part of a house of worship, you're a part of a congregation, a church, and you want to be involved with Souls to the Polls, you want to organize a Souls to the Polls effort during the weekends of early voting, what I encourage you to do is to email me at agreen@njisj.org. It's right here on the PowerPoint. If you can email me, where we can connect with your house of worship, your congregation, your church, and we can get you the necessary resources that you need. Particularly, we're providing a checklist, a Souls to the Polls checklist to make sure that you have the necessary plan to make sure that your congregation can participate in Souls to the Polls. Some of the things we're asking churches and houses of worship to think about: what is the early voting location you're going to utilize, right? How are people going to get to the early voting location? And so we have those resources that are available. Also, this flyer that my colleague Lloyd is going to share in the chat. If you can share this flyer on social media, you can put it into your house of worship bulletin and share, because it includes not only information about Souls to the Polls, but just important information about the early voting period and the hours and how to find the locations for Souls to the Polls. So we're so excited about this historic moment, and we really hope that you will be a part of this. Vote by mail, vote by mail. This is, as we saw during the pandemic, the increase of utilizing our vote by mail system, which is really great here in New Jersey. But we want to make sure that you're aware of the processes to make sure that your vote by mail ballot is counted, and also to make sure that you're able to track it, right? So the Secretary of State's office, they've created a tracking system online. Right here, we have the link that you can utilize to sign up to create a public access account so that you can check to make sure that your vote by mail ballot has been received. And so it includes information about to set up an account. So you'll be asked to provide either your driver's license number, the last 4 digits of your social security number, your voter ID number. And as ballots are processed by each county, the status will change online. So you have to check periodically to make sure, and it should change to received. The status may not change to accepted or received, because by law, it doesn't have to be marked on the site as accepted or rejected until after the votes are certified. And so you want to make sure that you're calling your county office to make sure, just in case if the online system is not showing accepted or rejected, make sure you're calling to make sure that your ballot is counted. You also can track to see if your ballot is counted by calling 1-877-658-6837 to find out if your ballot is counted. If your ballot was not counted, you can find out why it was rejected. But also we have a new system to make sure that if ballots are rejected, we have a curing system in place that I'll talk about next. So we have a ballot cure process that the Institute and our partners pushed for and was able to be made a law through the Ballot Cure Act. And so we have, this is for vote by mail and provisional ballots. If your signature is missing, or if it does not match the signature on your your voter file, the County Board of Elections may reject your ballot. But now we have a cure process. So if your ballot is rejected because of the signature issue, the county will mail a cure letter within 24 hours of their review. So what's important is that if you find out that your ballot is rejected through the online process, if you call and find out, or if you're just not sure, make sure you're checking your mail to see if a ballot cure letter has come so that you can rectify that issue. The cure letter will include a cure form allowing you to verify your ballot. You will have to verify your identity by providing your driver's license number, the last 4 digits of your social security number, or a state accepted ID, such as an official document that lists your name or address, like a utility or telephone bill. You have to show some form of verification to make sure that you can go about verifying your ballot. And also we have a flyer. If you want to share that information, if you just want to have that information on hand to ensure that your ballot is counted, my colleague Lloyd will be sharing that link to the flyer in the chat. So please share that with your network, and also just keep it on hand, because we want to make sure that if you're voting by mail and if some way your ballot is rejected, we want to make sure that you know the processes that you can utilize to cure your ballot. And just to follow up on that, you must sign and date the form that you received, the ballot cure form, and you will have until 48 hours before the election certification date to return the form to your County Board of Election, either in person, by fax, by email, or by mail. For the November 2nd election, the cure letter must be received by November 13th. This is 48 hours before the certification date of November 15th. Also, as I've stated, even if you want to make sure that when you receive your cure letter that it's counted as well, that everything is rectified. So please follow up by calling your local County Board of Elections to ensure that your cure letter is received. And also we have a virtual form toolkit that we've created here at the Institute. This toolkit we created following the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. We were thinking of ways that people could still hold accountability forums to lift up the issues, and also help educate the community on issues, particularly when it comes to elections in New Jersey. So this toolkit form, the purpose is to provide an overview of ways for communities to engage with candidates for elected offices during the 2021 New Jersey general election. The toolkit provides an overview of how to organize and host your own candidate forum. And you can utilize through Zoom. We also have a way that you can organize one through a phone conference call if everyone in your community doesn't necessarily have access to a laptop or a computer desktop. This toolkit contains some of the following sections: the purpose of a virtual forum toolkit, the important dates, an overview of how to organize and facilitate a virtual candidate forum, sample questions, and also sample invitation letters. So this toolkit is very comprehensive and includes everything that you will need to organize, even down to the letters that you just have to change a few words around to maybe make it specific for your organization, your house of worship, whoever wants to organize one in your community. We also have questions not only for state offices, but we have them for local offices, right? Things that impact your community and how you can raise these issues and hold elected officials accountable. And that's the purpose of this toolkit. We want to make sure that communities are organized around the issues that we are not only asking our elected officials for, but we're voting for as well. We're not just voting for candidates, we're voting for issues. And so we want to make sure that communities are utilizing this toolkit. And you can find that toolkit in the chat. My colleague Lloyd is sharing that link. So please share this toolkit, but also utilize this toolkit to organize some forums in your community so that you can raise important issues that are impacting you and your community. Election protection. Election protection, a very critical part of our work here at the Institute. If there is an issue you're not sure, that we included this flyer specifically because 186-R-VOTE is the number that we encourage people to call on election day if they see any issue or they run into any issue on election day. But I'll provide more information about our Election Protection Coalition and the work that we're doing in the next slide. So we have a social media monitoring program. We started this in 2020, and the social media monitoring program, we monitor Twitter, Facebook, other forms of social media to look for misinformation, disinformation, to provide voter assistance. And it's been a very profound program. We're really great to have it because we know in this current society that we live in, social media is a way where people express some of the things that is concerning. So on election day, we'll see people tweet about issues that they're seeing, or leading up to the election, they may share that they didn't receive their vote by mail ballot or some form of issue related to the election. And we're able to go on these social media platforms and to get in contact with them to provide assistance. And if we're not able to answer the question, we're able to connect them with our New Jersey Election Protection Coalition to help rectify any issues. So it's been a great program. We'll be continuing this program this upcoming election, not only on election day, but we'll have it for the early voting period and also following the election. It'll be critical during the early voting period because it's the first time we'll have early voting here. So we'll be monitoring every day during the early voting period, and especially during the weekends as congregations and houses of worship will be participating in Souls to the Polls. And also National Lawyers Guild, Delaware, New Jersey, will be having a roving poll monitoring program. And what this is volunteers, they are in their vehicles, and they, when issues come up, they drive to polling locations. And so this year, it will not only include polling locations on election day, but there'll be a roving poll monitoring program for the early voting period. So if there's an issue at an early voting location, we'll be able to have volunteers drive to that location to provide assistance to voters or to help rectify any issues that may come across. And so we are really excited to have these type of programs in place to make sure that we protect the access to the ballot for all voters in New Jersey. And as I stated before, if you encounter any problems voting by any method, please call the Election Protection Hotline at 186-R-VOTE, and they will be able to get you in contact and help you with rectifying the issue that you bring. And we work very closely with those that handle the Election Protection Hotline. And so when there's an issue that may come up that we can handle, we are working together to rectify those issues. So please write down that number. I encourage you to save it in your phone if you don't have it in your phone, because if something comes up, we really want you to be able to reach out to us. Also, if something comes up, you can also email us. You can email us at vote@njisj.org. That's vote@njisj.org. And also, if you want more information just about the election, we have an incredible voter page at njisj.org/vote. At njisj.org/vote. It includes our flyers for Souls to the Polls. It includes our 5 ways to vote flyer. It includes the flyer for early voting. And also it includes a accordion with about 30 questions of frequently asked questions, things that may come up frequently during the election you want to find the answer to. I encourage you to go to our website. We probably have the answer to that, or we have some type of resource that can point you to the answer. And then also vote.nj.gov. This also includes just very great information about everything relating to the election when it comes to finding your polling place, when it comes to online voter registration, and so many other components of the election. So, thank you so much for sitting through that, the PowerPoint presentation. Now we'll turn it over for any questions that anyone may have in the Q&A. I see that I have one now that is pertaining to the ballot, the secure Dropbox. So if anyone else has any questions, I'll go ahead and answer this. Corey, thank you so much for your question. A ballot drop box is a secure lock structure operated by elected officials where voters may deliver their ballot from the time they receive them in the mail up to the polls closing at 8 p.m. on election day. There will be at least 10 drop boxes located throughout each county, which will be available 24 hours per day. And also, if you want to find your drop box, I'm going to put that link in the chat so you can utilize that to find your drop box. Thank you so much for that question. And we're so glad to have drop boxes here in New Jersey, as it gives voters another way to cast their ballots. In here, I just put the drop box link in the chat. If you have your next question was finding your Dropbox. Okay, so I already answered it. So great. Yeah, but please let me know if you have any more questions on that. But I've included the link, and it allows you to see the drop boxes in your county and that you can utilize for the upcoming election. All right, seeing that there are no questions, I just want to thank you so much, everyone, for taking time out of your schedule to attend the 2021 general.
Aaron, there's two more questions.
Two more questions. Okay.
Yeah, can you please clarify the opt-out requirement to vote early?
Yes. So when it comes to the opt-out option, so if you are currently on the vote by mail list automatically to receive a vote by mail ballot, you had until August 31st to opt out to be able to cast a ballot for the early voting period. Due to that, if you were not able to opt out, you have to cast a ballot through your vote by mail, the vote by mail ballot you receive. And so just going forward, just to provide more clarification on that, if you are on the vote by mail list to receive the vote by mail ballot each election, you will need to opt out to vote early in person at a location. This year, you had to opt out by August 31st. That has already passed. And so you will, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, you'll still be able to cast a ballot, but you'll be able to cast a ballot through vote by mail. You won't be able to vote in person at an early voting location this year.
Thank you, Aaron. We have another question of how can we get involved with Souls to the Polls if we are a church?
Yes, so for Souls to the Polls, what's important for Souls to the Polls is that you reach out to me at agreen@njisj.org. That's agreen@njisj.org. And I will provide our resources. I'll provide the flyer. I'll provide the opportunity for you to sign up through our Google form. And I also provide a checklist that you can utilize to organize your congregation. And also we have a few other, one of our congregations that's provided resources. So if you need transportation or if you need refreshments for your Souls to the Polls effort, I can connect you with that congregation and we can help assist with your early voting, your Souls to the Polls effort for your congregation.
And Aaron, can you kind of explain what Souls to the Polls is again, in case somebody might have missed that?
Yeah, so Souls to the Polls is a tradition that started in the Black church, and the primary goal is to have the congregants cast their ballots together following the services. So what this looks like, for instance, if there's a church that celebrates the Sabbath on a Sunday, they will go to church on a Sunday, worship during the service, and then following the service, they'll all go together to the early voting location that they choose in the county to cast their ballots together. And so it's a very powerful program that has really centered on increasing voter turnout, and more so also increasing not only increasing voter turnout, but also shining a spotlight on the community, specifically the Black communities and other communities that have played a critical role in expanding voting rights across the country.
Thank you, Aaron. We have another question. Do you have to vote by mail? Can you go to your polling site on November 2nd?
You don't have to vote by mail. You don't have to vote by mail. You can, if you want to vote in person on election day, you can go to your designated polling place on election day. And I just encourage you to go to vote.nj.gov to find your polling place for election day so that you can make a plan and also determine what time you're going to go to your polling place. But just encourage you to make a plan ahead of the election. If you're going to vote in person, you can utilize early voting, the early voting period. Also, you can vote on election day, but also if you want to vote by mail there, you can deliver it to a drop box, and you can deliver it to your county board of elections, or you can mail it.
And I think one last question. As a poll worker, do we need to ask for ID or any type of identification?
So for, there is not a strict requirement for voter ID laws here in New Jersey, which we're so glad to have. But also with that, there may come up times when you may have to ask for someone's identification. For instance, if there is an issue with someone, them verifying, if you did not provide an ID number on your voter registration form, or if there was an issue in verifying your ID number on the verification form on your voter registration form, they may ask for some form of ID. But this is not limited to a license ID. This may be a military government. This may be a student job ID, a store membership card, U.S. passport, car registration, a rent receipt, or other official document that you can utilize. If you don't have any of those forms of ID, you may still cast a provisional ballot. But however, you must submit a copy of your ID to your county board of elections before the close of business on the second day after the election for your ballot to be counted.
All right.
And also more information about the many other issues related to the election, as I've stated, are on njisj.org/vote. So I just encourage you to go to our website and to look at many of the different questions that may come up or issues that may come up. And we have answers, we have links, and we also have resources that you can utilize for your community. Lloyd, that was the last question.
One more, actually. Was there any kind of stipend for this? Are you talking about the poll worker, I believe, stipend for poll workers?
Is there a stipend? Yeah, poll workers are paid. During the early voting period, I believe the rate is $14.29. And on election day, if you work as a poll worker on election day, you will be paid $200. And so if you are interested in becoming a poll worker, please visit vote.nj.gov to fill out the poll worker application and submit that ASAP. If you're interested in being a poll worker, please submit that today so that you can get connected with your county and they can get you trained and ready for the election day.
I believe that's all. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, thank you all so much for participating. Thank you so much for the questions, and we're so glad you were able to join us for this voter education webinar. And we look forward to your continued support as we move to protect the access to the ballot and also expand access to the ballot here in New Jersey. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for attending.